Hello Kiss Army Nation TV, my name is Matt Porter. A lot of you might know me from the Kiss Room, which is the show that I do monthly here on Mako Radio, where music and minds meet. You can see some students are in the studio right now. Obviously you listen to the Kiss Room every month, but what we're doing today is an event called Kiss Hunger Goodbye. And we have a live 75, the ultimate classic Kiss tribute band, coming in here tonight into the Science Center Theater, so we're excited about that. But what we did, we tied it into a canned food drive event where fans hopefully will bring in their cans of food. We have already gotten a bunch of them during the day, where we will donate it to a local charity. I believe it's going to be Manna on Main Street. If you're not from around here, you might not know what that is, but it's one of those that they gather food and supplies for people that could use them, and especially here we are right around Thanksgiving, right around the holiday times. It's the kind of thing we're happy to do it, and it's made for a great event. People are listening all over the planet, live on MakoRadio.com. Hopefully, if you're watching this video, maybe you were even listening. And that's what happens right here at Mako Radio, at Montgomery County Community College, Bluebell, PA. You know what's, the way that I got involved with Alive 75 was actually kind of funny, was the Gene Simmons of Alive 75, which is of course Anthony DeLucia, cold called the college and just looking for places to play. And the woman who books all of the events here calls me and says, I got a guy you want to talk to. He's in a Kiss tribute band and they want to play here at Mako. So of course that got my interest. And luckily, the Lively Arts series here at the college, which brings in just amazing performers, you know, everything you can imagine, jazz, blues, dance, all kind of things. They said, hey, we could add Kiss to our lineup, and they did. And we were able to get that show to happen, and there's all kind of stories about how, if you listen to the Kiss Room, you know that Kiss was supposed to play here in 1974. We finally have a Live 75 here tonight. I'm very fortunate to work here at Montgomery County Community College. I've been here for almost 18 years, and the nice thing is I work in the communication program. I get to work with things like Mako Radio, with the TV studio, with all the classes that are involved in audio and video production. So my role with the Live 75 was really, I wanted to make it happen. I wanted to make sure that this show would be something that we could bring to Mako. I always talk about the relationship that with my own show, The Kiss Room, that I am lucky enough to sneak into Mako Radio once a month for 2 hours and do. But how great would it be to have a Kiss show here at Mako? And we made that happen. That was kind of my role. I bought my tickets. Anthony said, hey, we could give you tickets. I put my money where my mouth is. I want that front row seat, and I have it. My expectations for this show are off the chart because, one, I feel like it's my home field. I've been promoting this like crazy through the Kiss Room and through my different websites, and the fact that it's finally here is tremendous. I feel almost like a contest winner because I think I know everyone who has a ticket probably by their first name. To get to meet people like Pasquale, who came all the way down here, it's amazing when you meet people that you only know from Facebook. And I've had long conversations with them on Facebook, and now they're here. Plus we have J.R. Smalling coming, Lydia, Criss, Len DeLessio, and a lot of my favorite people on the planet will all be here tonight, and they're going to play the Alive album. I mean, how great is that? Kiss Room special event, obviously, if you're watching this video now, you probably listened to the Kiss Room already. I'm hoping to get as many people who are coming to the show, or the guys from the band, or maybe JR, Lydia, and Len, to just come in. And really what I want to do is try and just share, A, take us back into 1975 in your mind, B, it is the anniversary of the Kiss Army today. If you're seeing this later on video, today is November 21st, regarded as the birth of the Kiss Army. And here it is today, November 21st, as we record this. You're watching me from the past, you're in the future. We're going to bring all that here tonight to Montgomery County Community College. am Matt Porter. We're live in the Kiss Room. Today is a special broadcast of the Kiss Room, part of Kiss Hunger Goodbye here at Montgomery County Community College. You're tuned in all around the planet. We have a live 75, the ultimate classic Kiss tribute, ready to rock the Science Center Theater at 8 o'clock. And if you know me, you've heard me say that about 700 times in the last couple months. If you're on your way, bring a can of food. Obviously, we have our Kiss Hunger Goodbye event happening right now. But first, what I want to do, I want to dedicate this edition of the Kiss Room to the Kiss Army, because today is November 21st, regarded as the birth of the Kiss Army, founded by Bill Starkey and Jay Evans, and as I'm sure you know, November 21st, 1975 is the date that Kiss rocked a sold-out show in the Holman Center in Terre Haute, Indiana. Tonight, 40 years later, we got a live 75 rocking the Science Center Theater here at Montgomery County Community College.
Yeah!
Because here's the deal, right? This show is for you, the Kiss Army. Because if you're coming to the show tonight, you're the Kiss Army. If you're listening to me right now, you are the Kiss Army. If you are ready to rock and somehow knowing that all your friends are going to be here and you're going to get the chance to rock and roll tonight, that's what I'm talking about, Kiss Army. So really face front, Kiss Army, because right now we have a message from the Commander-in-Chief himself, Bill Starkey, here in the Kiss Room on Montco Radio.
Yeah.
Music and Minds meet.
Hello, Kiss Room. This is Bill Starkey, the Commander-in-Chief of the Kiss Army. Today marks the 40th anniversary of the Kiss Army. We are proud of what Matt Porter and the Kiss Room is doing to help keep the Kiss Army alive. Keep up the good work, and let's kiss hunger goodbye. This is Bill Starkey, and you are listening to the Kiss Room.
There you go, Kiss Army. Now, you can't get any more straight from the source than that. Mr. Bill Starkey, thank you for giving us that message. Thanks for the kind words. Thanks to Ken Mills, who actually hooked up with Bill Starkey to get that. So here we are. It's 5 o'clock here on November 21st for a special edition of the Kiss Room, broadcasting live to all my Kiss Army friends around the world. And in the room, we got the packed house of all my favorite people. I'm going to go right around and everybody's going to say hello, because in the room right now, a live 75. We got on the mic Anthony DeLucia.
Hello, Matt.
We got Joe Gillies.
Hey.
We got Anthony Russo.
How you doing?
And is your Paul Stanley here yet?
Not yet.
Now, come on. What's it Paul Stanley shows up late, huh?
It's usually Ace. Running hot.
In the room, we got Chris Hartman from Almost Human.
Hello.
We got Tony DeVille with his Kiss Room tattoo. We got David Snowden, many Kiss Room listeners. You've heard these guys before.
Yeah.
We got Pasquale Oliveira. He's shooting some video right now for the Kiss Army Nation TV. You might see yourself, on TV. Look at that. It's radio. And I told him, here's the trick. You got to make me look thin, which that's impossible. All the special effects in the world can't do that. So, guys, how are you? Ready to rock?
Absolutely.
How do you feel, guys?
We're ready. We're ready. We just had a quick sound check to kind of level some stuff in. Once Ron gets here, we'll blow it out real quick. But it's looking great. And I tell you, Monco's been treating us awesome.
That's good.
It's awesome. You deserve it.
You guys are really cool.
We had an early load in. Who doesn't love that? And we had yesterday spent a lot of time getting things just right. And we've got a lot of audio-visual stuff queued up and ready to go for today.
Very
It's going to be
cool.
a very complete show.
Well, it's funny, we talk about Montgomery County Community College. I do want to give a shout out to Brent Woods. He is the director of Lively Arts, and he's really the one that stood behind me when I said, hey, do you think we could get a Live 75 to come in here? He actually put it on the Lively Arts calendar, brought you guys in, gave us his full support. And I'll tell the story right now. I don't know if anybody, I might have told this a couple months ago, but a couple months ago, Anthony cold called the college just looking for places to play. And a shout out to Pat Drevich, because she said to me, hey, there's a guy you're going to want to talk to. He says he's from a Kiss tribute band. And of course, everybody here knows I'm the knucklehead that's all into Kiss. So I say, great, let's make this happen. So talk to Brent, talk to the people at Montco Radio, talk to the powers that be, and boom, we were on the map. And it's funny because back when you guys were here in May, we already kind of had the wheels in motion, and it's finally here.
Yeah,
and it's
fast.
exciting.
Wow.
And look, I'm going to tell you this right now. Now, anybody out there that's listening, if you figure to yourself, I don't know if I can come to the show. Here's the thing. Last night, I was here when they started putting the sign up. And you know what? When you see that KISS logo go up behind those drums, my God, if you are not ready to come to this show, I don't know what you're doing tonight.
There ain't no more Spectrum.
Is there reruns of Jaws or something on? I don't know. It's like it's 1975 and it's going to be right here in the Science Center Theater.
Actually, we have reruns of Jaws running right now in the lobby. Yeah, the gallery's up, the audio visual reels are running. I've been watching people kind of, they walk through there, they double take, they stop. It's nice to see.
Well, you know, it's funny, one of the things among all the pictures is this great picture of the mighty ISIS. Now, obviously, if you're our age, the mighty ISIS was a very hot TV show with Shazam, and all of a sudden, ISIS means a whole different thing in the year 2000. When you saw the mighty ISIS in the lobby, man, all those cares, you know, that you have in the world, they disappear because it's fun, and it's all about fun. And if you're in the sound of my voice and you don't have a ticket, you better get one. Anyway, it's so talk about really. I think we got a couple minutes, obviously, before you have to get back and get things going. But just give us a little bit of a clue. The birth of the band, this year that you've had, it's been, you know, a great year of getting things going, and I feel like this is really a big event.
Yeah, and we started this on a whim. I've told some of your folks this once before, right? It was a bucket list item, a cool thing for us to do. A couple of us are semi-professional musicians in other lives, right? We've never done KISS tribute, and I'll be the first to admit that first show, while it was phenomenally fun for us to do and we got great feedback from, it was a lot of work, and we totally underestimated what it takes to put the show together and to then, you know, be up on the stage for 100 minutes and do that whole album, which is a fantasy concert, right? It's not real. And for us to string all that together and deliver it was really tough. And then we were like, well, if we're really going to do this, we've got some work to really do to get it to the right place. And that's what this year has been about. I think with every show that we do, we're learning a little bit more, we're getting a little bit more out of it, we're getting great feedback along the way with things to pay attention to, and I really think tonight, especially with our new star child / lover taking the stage with us, there's another level of intensity. Ron is an uber KISS fan and brings with him a whole nother level of perfection and things to pay attention to and things to consider as we put the show together. And you know, he's bringing a lot of excitement with him. We've been joking with him about, you know, how quickly he's been able to get ready, whether or not he's really ready. But I think just stepping on the stage and this show is going to be just better than the last, and the next one will be better than this one, and just keep going.
You're talking about the fact that obviously, you know, in the early days of KISS, they talk about those levitating drums. You got them here tonight. Talk about that.
Yeah, so the technology obviously has come a little ways. Matt, you and I spoke about that earlier, and Peter always make jokes about it. And JR will tell you the same thing, that they were scotch taping that thing together to get to the next gig. It would be broken. Ours is a little smoother than that.
Glenn! Come on in, pal. How are you? What's going on, buddy? How you doing?
Yo, Len, how you doing, sir?
Oh, look who's here!
See you again.
Now, to jog his memory, all the way back to early 1970s, Len DeLessio, one of the original photographers of KISS,
Hey, how you
is
doing,
in
man?
the KISS room. Len, thanks for coming.
Matt, thanks for having me here. I'm surrounded by friends, so I mean, I know you guys now, so it's all really good. I tried setting my clock back to 1975. My phone wouldn't go back that far, but you know, I just finished the on the Streets book, J.R. Smalling and the original KISS crew
Fantastic.
book, and that did a lot of memory jogging. You know, I wasn't with those guys every day, but I did get a really good sampling of what happened on the road and even locally. So, if you got any questions, man, I don't know if I could redo a whole couple of years on you, but
We know the nice thing is a lot of fans, even they know they're familiar because they've seen your work just on the cover of Nothing to Lose. That was your photo.
yes.
Some of the most iconic early photos of the band, they're yours.
Yeah. I was very fortunate to be in the right place at the right time, I guess, and I had a certain amount of a reputation for being like the invisible guy who always got the good pictures. There's a lot of people who have no idea who I was, but they know my pictures because I'm short, so and I was a lot thinner then, so I kind of blended in. I always wore black, so I kind of just blended into the pit, and nobody really knew who I was, and you know, the people who mattered knew who I was. You know, Billy Coyne, Carol Ross. Those people knew who I was, and Carol's actually the person who got me involved with KISS. I was working with her when she was the head of publicity at MCA Records, and we did Elton John. We worked on Neil Sedaka, Elton John. Leonard Skinner was one of the big acts. I was their Northeast photographer, and she called me and she said, "Oh, you got to go to the Academy of Music. You got to see what this band is doing." And so I went down there. I went there and checked them out. Of course, I had my camera, and that was early in 1975 in January. And it was probably I did the I'm not going to do dates. Never mind. I was going to start to pull out some like January 23rd or something.
Well, especially because everybody listening, it's all the super hardcore Kiss fans.
And they know more than I
dates.
do, and I love them. And you have no idea how much
Len, your
respect.
memory of your life is wrong.
Yeah, exactly. And I have a friend of mine, a guy named Ross Radley, who I'm honored when I post a picture and Ross emails me and he goes, "Sorry, Len, but he didn't wear a bracelet in that picture on that day and that concert on that day. He wore it on a certain other date." And I go back to my notes and I correct him, and he's that guy, man. I love that guy, and I have a lot of respect for him.
You know, he's working, we talked to him a couple months ago in the Kiss Room. He's working on that great book, and I hope we can get it to happen. I mean, obviously, a lot of the photos that he's looking at are stuff we've never seen. You know, and I mean, he's talking about really trying to put that together, so I hope it happens.
I hope it happens too, because the guy's he's done so much hard work, and of course it's a labor of love, so, the labor of love that he's done, and everyone else is going to benefit by it by having this incredible history book.
Absolutely.
But it's also a history book that seems to be coming from a fan's point of view as opposed to a member of the band who may have a certain view of everything. Like if you read all four of the original members' books, the same story has different versions in each book. So you're gonna get Ross's historical accuracy as opposed to somebody's opinion.
Absolutely, it's gonna be fantastic. So hopefully he puts that together. Now think about some of the different photo shoots you had with Kiss, going back very early. Did you walk over to the Science Center Theater and see their setup yet here?
No, I haven't seen what they've done here. I've seen what they did at their first show, and they basically recreated 1975. They had this enormous big screen TV, except it wasn't a thin TV, it was a big fat TV with a curved screen, and they had All in the Family on it, and they did an amazing job with the posters and everything. I haven't seen what they did here yet. So
The
I'll
stage
get over and
looks
see that.
phenomenal. I mean, really, I walked in this afternoon and the crew is putting things up, and the nice thing is our students get to work with the crew, so they have the sound guy going and doing his thing. But you see a whole team of students working on it, which I think is fantastic. But take your mind back to that. Like, think about those early days you're walking in, and especially you were working with them. They weren't really famous yet. I mean,
No,
those
they-
early days, they hadn't really broke yet.
Well, when I first started working with them, they were not famous. They absolutely weren't famous. They were very accessible. The show was put together. It was something people hadn't done before with the pyrotechnics and the spinning red lights and everything else that went along with it, and the smoke effects, and people had done little things like that, but they never did the big towering fire columns, and they had never done anything like that. So, but they were actually very, very accessible, and especially most of the contact I had was with Gene. And Gene was a very easygoing guy, and I've only the last time I saw him was at a book signing for Nothing to Lose, and he was cordial and friendly, but after meeting 400 million people, he knew my pictures, but he didn't know me.
Right.
Going back to me being the invisible guy, but back then in let's say 1975 in particular, because that's the subject of the evening, it was not unusual if I was walking down 55th Street in the city to go in to say, "Oh, Rocksteady's in here. I'm going to go and say hi to Bill," and just go in the elevator, walk into the office, say hi to Bill. A couple of times, Gene would be there, and we'd go through a box full of fan mail. And I can't really tell you what was in some of the fan mail, but it was fun to look at. Yeah, you can imagine. Use your imagination. Use your imagination.
I know you write me sexy letters.
But having all access was I was a lucky guy. I had all access. I could run up and down the stage anywhere I wanted to go. And I guess the highlight of that time was when they asked me to do the Beacon Theater photo shoot in March of 1975, and it was just me and the band. And of course, there were publicity people, and the stage crew was there, and JR was there. But basically, there was no audience. It was the afternoon of the show. And we tried. We were really trying to do the Alive cover. Mm-hmm. And what happened was the Beacon Theater stage crew either weren't fans of Kiss, or they didn't give a crap, and we couldn't get the lighting that we needed. So those pictures ended up basically staying in my archives. Kiss has the color versions of that stuff in their warehouse, and the black and white, I retained the black and white. Basically, all the pictures are mine because they never paid me for it.
Right.
Which is one of the things that they did back then, was not pay people. And I have no resentment for it. You know, it's nothing. You know, they didn't have any money.
So are there photos that we've never seen?
There's photos that you've never seen. There's photos that you've never seen, and one of them that I just I have to. Do you have the picture of them standing on the? I'm asking.
Yes,
Pasquale.
Pasquale is looking at, because Pasquale shoots some footage right now. So if you're watching Kiss Army Nation TV, you're going to see stuff that actually you're in the future, but we're in the past, and we're talking about 1975 here in 2015, all right under the camera. And he's got a camera on Len, who's a photographer. So does that create a vortex?
I don't know how that works. If we had a mirror in the room, then we'd go into infinity. But you are one of the few people that have that photograph of them just standing on the stage,
Waiting
looking.
for the next thing to happen, yes.
Okay, and they're just standing on stage looking. Wait, that's my favorite Kiss picture. Nobody has it, and I mean he has a copy of it. We're good friends.
And they seem to be looking at you as if, what should we do
What do we
next?
do next?
Right.
We were trying to stage things. We were trying to recreate the live show, some of the choreography. We would run through a few things. The problem was we just didn't have the lighting. It wasn't working. We basically were missing front light.
Right.
So if you look at the photographs from that photo shoot, in fact, the Nothing to Lose cover is actually made out of a compilation of one band where the three members look really great, except that we couldn't see Peter's whole face. So it was actually Ross Radley who took one of the other frames of Peter and photoshopped him in, and made a composite for the cover that actually worked well. And the cover was chosen by Gene and Paul.
Which is a great book,
So
and
it's a great book.
It's a really neat composition.
Ken Sharp's amazing.
Yeah, that's
Very
great.
talented guy.
Great stuff. So thinking back to that, now here you are, and you think to yourself, we're here on November 21st, 2015. You think that people would still be talking about Kiss?
You know what? It had to happen. Having done Kiss Expo and some other Kiss events, or Kiss Tribute, or Kiss fan events, and you see 3-year-olds with Gene's makeup on, it's gonna go, man. It's just gonna continue. It's gonna go on forever.
Now, one of the things I want to talk about, obviously, with some of the people in the room here, when you think about the early days of Kiss, and there's that great book about it, but fanzines that were done really out of the labor of love that it was to be a Kiss fan. Back before all you had to do was hit a button and share all your pictures, you had to be able to print things, and usually somebody worked in a print shop. Now, David Snow, talk about that. You had probably one of the earliest, the biggest Kiss fanzines back in the day. Tell us about that.
Well, it started out in 1983, I guess, the end of the Creatures tour, before they had Lick It Up, and I met up with Keith LaRue, actually. He sent me he didn't send me an email, because it wasn't email back then, but he sent me a letter. Had his telephone number in it, so I gave him a call, and we started talking, and we decided to put together this fan club. Started out as a fanzine initially, which is how I heard about it, and then we got together and actually made the fan club that we called the Kiss Force, to kind of pick up where the Kiss Army left off. Did that for a couple of years, and it was a lot of fun, because I got to interview a lot of the guys in the band. Did actually the very first interview with Ace after he left Kiss, which was really good, to go up to the power station, hang out with him.
Cool.
He cut a rough vocal for Into the Night. Then we sat down, we did an interview. He had Tony Bon Jovi producing at the time. Did that. Did some interviews with Peter when Peter was living out in LA and nobody ever knew what he was doing. And I still remember the very first time I met Bruce Kulick was actually up in Massachusetts. And Bruce at the time, he was doing the Animal House tour. And he thought this was just a temporary gig, that he was only going to be there for a little while. And I told him I had the Blackjack album. He was really surprised to hear about that. And he wasn't surprised to hear that I bought it for $1. But I said to him, I said, Bruce, I said, after this is over with, I said, I need to get some contact information for you. We should probably continue to cover what it is that you do. And he said, why would anybody be interested in that? I said, because you become a part of this Kiss family and people want to know. I mean, just because you leave a band or you're not going to be in the band, you've already contributed a pretty big part to them. So you need to stay in touch, and lo and behold, he ended up staying in the band, and Mark was the one who got the
Right.
Can I ask a question about
Absolutely.
when you interviewed Bruce, when he was on the Analyze tour, was Mark traveling with him at the time? Or was
Yeah, as a
he
matter of
was-
fact, if you look on my company Facebook page, you'll see I have a picture of myself standing between Eric Carr and Mark St. John.
Oh,
which is
wow. I've seen
Kind
that
of
shot.
little creepy.
Yeah.
When,
What company page is that?
David Stone Promotions on Facebook. Yeah, so that was kind of weird because they were all traveling together, and at the time they only had the one-sided guitar pick that had the Kiss logo on the one side, and Mark took one and he actually scribbled in a silver marker, MN, because he wasn't used to still signing Mark St. John.
Wow.
And then he gave me one of his real guitar picks, which was a little teardrop pick, and then he scribbled MN on that one as well.
Wow.
And then I was actually lucky enough, I guess, to see when Mark came out and he played on stage with Kiss when he played his first 5 songs with them in the middle of a show in Baltimore. And if you see that picture, we see all 5 guys at the end taking a bow. That's actually my picture.
No, that's yours.
Yeah.
I've seen that picture a million times. I love that picture.
Yeah, well, back in the day too, when you were a big fan, talking the whole Kiss Army thing, you were so into it. I can't tell you how many years I spent the night at the Baltimore Arena overnight, waiting to get tickets to be the first person in line. I mean, on the Animalize tour in particular, that night, they had a Huey Lewis and 38 Special concert the night before, so people were coming out the door and they're banging you with the door. It was freezing cold, but you waited and you had to have these tickets. So I actually had row A, seat 1, and I had that for 3 consistent years, which was Lick It Up, Animalize, and Asylum.
Very cool.
That is awesome.
That is terrific.
And back then too, they didn't care if you took a camera into a concert. By the time they got to later tours than it was, if you have a camera after 3 songs, they wanted you to actually leave the arena. But back then it wasn't a big deal. Everybody was into it. And when you were backstage, like Eric, he was always great because he was definitely the guy who understood what the fans were about. He saw you, he would recognize you, he'd come over, he'd say hello, he'd hand you some drumsticks. If he was eating something, one time I ran into him, he was in the catering room, he was eating some ice cream. And I yelled into him, and he waved me in, went in, and he's like, have some ice cream. So we sat down, had some ice cream. And I said, well, all I want to do is have a picture. And he was like, well, not until I'm finished my ice cream, because that was pretty important. And as we get older, we realize how important that ice cream really is. So. I'm lactose intolerant, so we don't want to do that.
In the room right now, my jaw just dropped because JR just walked in. JR, how are you?
I'm great, man. How are you?
Fantastic. I'll tell you, I'm shot out of a cannon, having the best day ever. I've been thinking about this the whole time. Let's see, I'm going to bring down the sound of the phone because I can hear it ringing in the background. Whose phone is that? Also, Criss Giordano, the star child, is in the room. Hey! Woo! All right! Joining us. We've got a room full of fun people. Now, obviously, we're celebrating the Kiss Army. We're celebrating Alive 75. JR, take us back in time. Think of 1975. Think about where you were, one of the most important people in this story. What do you think back when you think about here it is 2015? Anniversary of the Kiss Army. Get right up on the mic. Take us back in time, JR.
I can't believe it. I really can't believe it. We all knew that we were doing something and bringing something to the people that hopefully would be successful, but none of us ever thought it was going to be a 40-year type of a situation and counting. You know what I mean? So
Absolutely.
it's a good feeling to know that I was part of something that lasted that long.
Absolutely, and especially when you think about it, the show that they're doing now, it's what you guys built. It's they do it like maybe it's a little more technology. We had Joe from Alive 75 talk about his drum riser, but you guys had mechanical drum rising back in then. You talk all about that in your book. Obviously, there's a lot of stories with almost getting run over by it and things like that.
Yeah, it was never a dull moment, so to speak. You know what I mean? But someone actually mentioned to me, he says, you guys, you were like, you helped create, a musical version of Apple or Microsoft, the stuff that you guys were doing, and I never really thought about it, but the things that we did on a regular, on a nightly basis, between the fog and the bombs and the levitation and everything else that was going on, kind of changed the face of modern touring. You know, that stuff was the exception when we did it. Fast forward 40 years, and you can't go to a show now without seeing a lot of that stuff. You know, and more. You know what I mean? So like I say, it's very gratifying, man, to see that there's still some love for what we did.
Well, you know, there's a great quote that you have in that Kiss Rules the World special where you say, we didn't raise the bar, we created the bar. And I
No
think
doubt
that's
about
what we're
it.
talking about tonight. So really, hats off to you.
Thank you. Thank
Now,
you.
think about that. One of the things that everybody's posting, hashtag Kiss Army today, being the 40th anniversary of the Kiss Army. Now, can you take us back to Terre Haute? Is it Terre Haute, Indiana?
Terre Haute.
Somebody from there. I've been saying Terre Haute. I'm from Pennsylvania.
Terre Haute,
Think
for
about
sure.
that night. Now, that was a sellout crowd, 10,000 something people at a time where they were not playing those big venues.
Right.
What were you thinking then?
Well, you know, as the group progressed and increased in popularity, you know, every show and every new venue was really just verifying, you know, what we thought, you know, that they were going to become huge. And a lot of gigs, a lot of cities, we played 3 or 4 times in a year. You know, we play in a club, for example. The first time through town, the second time through town, we'd be in a theater, opening up for some mid-level act. A couple of months later, we'd be back headlining the theater, and a lot of times by the end of the year, we were in the biggest room in the city. You know, with good old Rush, opening up the show, and it was a very, very powerful show with Rush opening. They were great guys, great musicians.
And when you think about the kind of rise that it was very fast. I mean, when you think
Absolutely.
73, 74, 75, what we're celebrating tonight,
Right.
and then kind of all hell breaks loose.
Right.
And it goes to really be, you know, the big show that everybody thinks of. When you
Right.
think of those really early days, and you think about the struggling of trying to get them place to place, and then you think about here it is all these years later, we're still celebrating Kiss, and a lot of it's because of
Absolutely.
all that work that you did back then.
Absolutely, yeah. It was particularly challenging because there were no laptops, there were no cell phones, you know, and a lot of times, and we mentioned in the book, a lot of times we would drive hundreds of miles to get to a gig that had been canceled, and we didn't know it because there was no way to reach us.
Right.
You know, so whenever we took a break, for example, and you know, gassed up or whatever, we'd run into the truck stop with a fistful of quarters, call the office, you know, give them the number, and they'd call us back, and then we'd do our business there, standing in some truck stop, and jump back in the truck and head to the next gig, you know. So technology's really helped a lot since then.
Well, of course, everybody that has read the book Out on the Streets, they know there's a long chapter on CD kind of language.
Oh, yeah.
And I think
Oh, yeah.
that's one of those things that I think when I read the book that it really takes you to that time, because you figure at the time that was kind of a big, you know, that CB, that kind of trucker culture,
It's a big
and now
deal.
it's like, now you don't really think about it so
Now-
much, but at the time it was great.
I got a question. How come that's legal? That was legal, but you can't even put a cell phone in your hand. Think about that.
There you go, exactly.
Breaker.
Breaker, Chris.
You should remind me.
Absolutely.
How about in the 70s?
It's okay, good buddy.
I'm gonna say it's a CB officer.
Got the rubber ducky here.
When you think back to those times, I mean, obviously, one of the things you talk a lot about in your book, those early days getting started. Just think about some of those times. Think about, and then here you come see it tonight. And one thing I remember when you had talked to us last month, or back in May, really, and you said how exact the Alive 75 stage is compared to what you guys did in 1970s.
For sure, yeah. It's like strolling down memory lane, you know? When I first checked out their show at the Sherman Theater earlier this year, it really was, it was great. It was like being there in '75. I mean, everything is exactly as it was. And I think they may have even, you know, gone to the trouble of even measuring out where things were placed, you know what I mean? So that it could be as authentic as possible. And they really hit the mark.
How about you? Take care of your people.
6:30? Welcome to the Kiss Room.
Hi.
Hey.
I just got here. Wow, nice to be here.
Now the funny thing is, and I don't even know if you remember, you were one of my very first guests. Way back when the Kiss Room started, you called in, And it's one of the very earliest Kiss rooms, and in fact, it really helped put me on the map because people realized they could hear something on the Kiss room that they weren't going to hear someplace else.
I do remember.
That's
I do
awesome.
remember. Yeah.
You know, it's funny because Frank Hagan, he's coming here tonight. He actually interviewed me. He's going to be here tonight. Now,
Really?
I'm hoping Frank gets over here early and we can talk to him. He hasn't been here in the Kiss room in a while, but he's going to be here. All the coolest
Oh, it's
people
going
are
to be
here tonight. It's
love to see
fantastic.
him too. Haven't seen him in a while.
In fact, somebody go over to the Science Center Theater, see if you can find him, bring him over here, and put the warrant out right now. APB Frank Hagan, if you're in the building. Lydia, how are you?
I'm a little cold.
Well, you know, it's funny. That's the one thing I thought of was the fact that I didn't want it to snow on this date.
I know.
Because
I know.
I've done events here where I had to get here in the snow, and it's never fun. And you know, they have all these people lined up, and you go on about stories here, and you could tell us JR about driving through the snow. But really, what I want to talk to you about the fact that here we are celebrating 1975 with a live 75. You had one of the most unique vantage points in history.
Yeah.
Take us back in time.
Everything's Kiss. Christmas history.
Well, let's see, take you back in time. I mean, I was married to Peter in 1970. I met him in 1966. So that
Wow.
goes back in time a
Yes.
lot, you know. And, you know, we struggled. You know, I worked a 9 to 5. He used to work weekends in cover bands. As you could see in my book, that I did make there is a, you know, I mean, people think he didn't do anything. He did work. I made a list. It's in my revised edition. But, you know, we struggled. We lived in Brooklyn. We lived in a 1-bedroom apartment. And, you know, in a part of Brooklyn that was, you know, remote, hard to get to. And then, you know, he one day he just said to me, he says, I don't want to do cover bands anymore, because that's what he was doing. And I said, well, that's up to you, you know. What do you want? You don't want to do it, don't, you know. And he put an ad in Rolling Stone, and that's when Gene called.
And there you go. And you were there, obviously, when the story you always hear about, would you wear a dress, would you dress up in women's clothes, and are you thin, do you have long hair?
Are you good
Everyone-
looking? Yeah. And it was really funny because we were putting up wallpaper. We were putting up a mural in the living room. His parents were, Peter's parents, and it was just me, Peter's brother, Peter's parents, and Peter. There was just the five of us. Yeah, 5 of us. And he made everyone think there was a party going on. So, you know, he'd say, well, hey guys, you know, do I dress good? And we'd go, yeah. I mean, I think Peter's told this story so many times that there was a party going on. I think he believes it. But
A wallpaper.
it was interesting. You know, it was nice. You know, it was like another. You know, you don't get too excited right away because you don't know what's going to happen. And then when he met the guys, you know, it's like he wasn't too crazy about the Wicked Lester. We went down to Electrical 80 and we listened to some of the songs, and he wasn't crazy about some of the, you know, the arrangements on how the songs were done. And, but, you know, Gene assured him that it was going to be different. It was going to be changed, and he was going to get rid of the whole band and start, you know, just him and Paul, start over again. And, you know, then you still, you know, even with the band, even though I loved it, I used to go after work to rehearsals and everything, and 10 East 23rd Street.
Right.
And, you know, I loved, you know, being there, and I loved listening to the whole thing. But you still don't know what's going to happen. You know, I'm still working. You know, back, you know, 2 years later, I'm still working. You know, but that was what I planned on doing anyway. So, you know, I didn't, I never planned on actually stop working, but then when I did stop working, that's when I really felt like, okay, now they made it. Yeah. Well, I think Alive went gold the day after my birthday, November 7th, 1975.
Wow.
Very cool.
And that's exactly what we're
Wow.
celebrating, obviously, tonight, 1975.
And wait a minute, and I got fired that day.
You got fired that day?
Peter, I was working at a job for about 5 years, but Peter wanted me to go on the road with him once, and I said, I can't. You know, he goes, no, you have to come to Salt Lake City, I think it was. And he said, because I'm losing. Oh no, Missouri. I think it was Missouri. He says, because I'm losing it. And I said, all right, I gotta go. And it was Thanksgiving. I wanted the day after off, and Unfortunately, one of my bosses had a heart attack, so we were shorthanded. And my boss said, no, you can't have the day off. So I called them from the airport and I said, I'll see you Monday. So they waited until the heart attack boss got better and then they fired me.
Wow.
That was a good time to get fired.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
That's really, it's amazing. I think obviously you can trace those years in your life, and when you think about those times and really struggling, and then think about being on stage getting the People's Choice Award, and you're
Oh.
up there getting it.
Yeah.
You know, at what point does that seem, what was going through your head at that
That
moment?
was really surreal. I mean, I was in, where were we were in Detroit, I think, yeah, Detroit. We're sitting backstage and we're at a table, me, Peter, Gene, and Bill Coyne. And, or maybe me, Peter, and Gene, and then Bill Coyne walked over to us and he said, you know, I just wanted to let you guys know that you're gonna get the People's Choice Award. And we're going, what's the People's Choice Award? We didn't even know it in those days. It was only the third year that they had it. So, ironically, Peter's lucky number 3. But anyway, so we're sitting there, and they're going, well, we're, you know, the date that the People's Choice was, you know, booked for, set for, they were already booked in Fargo, North Dakota. And they said, well, we can't, you know, we can't, it will be far away, we can't do this, we can't sit in the audience with the makeup on, what are we going to do? And I just said, I'll accept the award. And Gene goes, stop for a minute. And then he said, okay. And I said, what? I literally lost 10 pounds in 10 days. I did, I really did. I'm not, it's not an exaggeration. I was a nervous wreck. A nervous wreck. I had to get dressed, hair, makeup, nails, I mean, the works. Speech. And so, you know, basically, I did it all in 10 days. And then they flew me out. I went out with Bill Coyne and Alan Miller and Larry Harris, I think, was on the plane.
Sure.
And they put me in a beautiful hotel, the Beverly Wilshire. I had the Jimmy Stewart suite all by myself. I never had 2 floors. 2 floors all by myself.
Wow.
And they rented a Mercedes for me, so and the car only had 3 miles on it.
Wow. That's fantastic.
And there's,
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
pictures
that's
of all
right,
of it in
right.
your book.
Yeah, yeah.
That is something else.
By the way, well, he helped me. He was the big influence in me doing the book.
I was just pointing at David Stone, who's smiling ear to ear. That's fantastic. That's nice. So you can see it's radio. So when you point at somebody, we can't tell.
Oh, right.
Now your book is fantastic. Obviously, anybody that has a copy of that, and the Kiss Army, again, you had the most unique vantage point. You have photos that we had never seen. When that book came out, the reaction, of course, was huge because it was things that had never been seen before by the Kiss Army or anyone. And
Yeah.
really everybody was blown away. So obviously if you're coming to the Kiss Alive 75 show here tonight, bring a couple extra dollars, get that book right from Lydia, it's fantastic. I actually have a couple extra dollars in my pocket because I'm buying another copy. And that's after the Kiss Room is done. So when you think about 1975, and obviously one of the things we're talking about today is the anniversary of the Kiss Army.
Yeah,
And Terre
yeah,
Haute,
I
Indiana,
saw that.
and this and that and
I
the
saw
other.
that on
Think of that.
Facebook.
Where we at that time, right then? Things are really starting to take up, and I had to ask JR even. That's when they went from playing clubs and maybe smaller venues. Now there's 10,000 people, and now you really said you didn't necessarily see it taking off so quick, but now here it's starting to happen. What were you
Well, I
thinking?
think what blew Peter's mind was Cadillac, Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Peter did. Yeah, he used to always ask me to come to like the real big gigs. You know, like the Forum,
Right.
the Garden, you know, the Spectrum. You know, all the good ones.
Nice
yeah.
spectrum.
Yeah, awesome.
Rock and roll.
Let me tell you,
My
the
first
Spectrum.
sugar.
Let me tell you, the Spectrum was amazing, amazing. And I now go out with Richie Fontana, who was in the opening act, Piper. He was the drummer in the opening act, and he said he has never ever seen a crowd in all of his years like the Spectrum.
Woo,
Those
Philly.
Philly
I know.
boys.
Yeah. That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So you know, I mean, I loved doing, you know, all those things. But like I said, he used to take me to all the good places, and he didn't ask me to go to Cadillac.
Wow.
So I was still working. And when he came home, he said, "I'm so sorry. You know, you're not going to believe this. It was blah 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 blah." And he told me the whole thing. He goes, "Had I known it was going to be so big, I would have, you know, told you to take off." I'm going, "Yeah, well, it doesn't matter. I was getting fired anyway." So.
You know, it's funny because we actually had Coach Neff called into the Kiss Room a couple months ago, and then they had their big event with that monument, and I mean, really, it's amazing, and they had some great events.
Oh yeah,
it's
I
fantastic.
saw that.
So
On Facebook. Yeah.
when you think about the fact that even that, again, you talk about an event that at the time was very small. We talk about the idea of social media, things like that. He even said you couldn't do that today because there would be too many people. He said they kept it kind of small. But when you see that footage, even all these years later, it's amazing. They just did that really nice event promoting that, so it's it's a good time. But yeah, it would have been nice if you had gone to that, huh?
Yeah, yeah. He was telling me, like in a couple of months before, he said it's starting to get a little crazy. The girls are jumping on the limo. He says it's getting like the Beatles.
Now, at that point, you travel with them a lot overseas, things like that. What were some of those things that come to your mind? Traveling all around the world, really, with Kiss.
I've seen a lot with Kiss in the traveling. Japan was amazing. Well, we circled the entire globe. The last trip I was with Peter, actually. We went from New York to California to Japan to Hong Kong, no, to Bangkok, Singapore, Paris, and then we flew home on the Concorde. Little did I know it was the last trip I'd ever be on with him. You know.
There you go, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
But at least I did it in style.
We're gonna do. What's your message to the Kiss Army? I'm listening all over the planet.
Well, I want to thank Bill Starkey, and I know he just had a birthday, so happy birthday, Bill. And I think it was amazing that he formed the Kiss Army, and that 40 years later it's still going. I can't believe, I couldn't believe then that they were storming radio stations and, you know, demanding, you know, I mean, we used to call up, you know, nonchalantly, you know, Peter and Peter's family and myself, we used to call up, could you please play, you know, one of the Kiss songs? You know, they said, who? You know, New York didn't play Kiss a lot, you know, but I think I finally heard Hard Luck Woman. Not until like in the like 76, 77.
Wow.
You know, I mean, on the radio. But I think Bill Starkey was a sweetheart for starting it, and thank you so much because it kept them going.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. JR, last words to the Kiss Army before we get ready to roll over for a live 75 here in the Science Center Theater at Montgomery County Community College.
Just keep on rocking, that's all I gotta say. Do what you do best, man. Rock and roll.
Rock and roll. Kiss Army, enjoy your Kiss Army Day. Enjoy Thanksgiving. Enjoy everybody else that you know. Give somebody a hug. Tell them that you love them. Support all your favorite Kiss podcasts. Again, thanks to Ken Mills because he helped me create a bunch of this stuff. Thanks to Bill Starkey for giving us a message at the early part of the show. If you go back and listen to this on a replay, it's great. If not, guess what? It's good. It's about 10 minutes of 7. If you're not on your way to Montgomery County Community College, and if you're just listening to this on the replay, you might have missed it. Don't miss it. Have as much fun as you can. I'm Matt Porter. You're in the Kiss Room on Montco Radio, where music and minds meet.
Yeah!